Variety, celebrating more than 119 years covering the business of entertainment. This is the Award Circuit Podcast. Ike Barinholtz is hearing from his pals at the studios about what it's like to watch the studio.
I've had a friend of mine who's a studio head right now is like, thanks for making my biography. I love it. I love being stressed out at work all day and then watching your show and just feeling more stress.
I'm Michael Schneider, and on this episode of the Variety Award Circuit Podcast, we talk to Ike Barinholtz about his Apple TV Plus comedy, The Studio, as well as Netflix's Running Point, on which he is one of the showrunners and executive producers. But first, on the Award Circuit Roundtable, we look at 10 changes the Television Academy should look at doing with the Emmy categories. It's all next on this edition of the Variety Award Circuit Podcast. Stay close. It is the Variety Awards Circuit Roundtable. Never, often duplicated, but never. Wait, let me say it again. Often imitated, but never duplicated. Yeah, everyone did.
Exactly.
They want to be us. They hate us because they ain't us. So I am Michael Schneider. Jazz Tanke is here. Clayton Davis is here. Clayton and I are just back from New York, but we're looking lovely. And Jazz is busy doing all sorts of Emmy stuff. So we don't got time for this. Let's just jump right into it. Clayton wrote a great column this week where I hope the TV Academy is listening to you, Clayton. Because I think they need to hire you and just take over the awards sort of methodology, because you've got some great ideas. So in your piece, which came out this week, you have 10 Emmy rule changes the TV Academy should consider. Yeah. And there's some pretty strong ones. So first, what's the reaction you've been getting so far?
Some are very popular with publicists that they see this as a potential win for them. There's other publicists that some of them, they're like, no, don't do that. And then there's some that are afraid about the practicality of it, of how something like this would roll out. But, listen, I have to give the Emmys a shout out here. This isn't to besmirch them saying that they're bad at it, because what I've loved so much about the Emmys is that over definitely the last 12 years, I guess we've been in the streaming era, they're constantly changing rules to try to reflect what's happening in the world. We're not there yet, but there are some easy layups, I think, that there can be. And I think Jazz, we talk about it often on this, that there's some simple changes that could be made. And I think, aside from the rating standpoint, you want the viewers engage, and then you want people to win for things that are reflective. Not everything fits in a box. We have to be a little more flexible in this TV era.
Yeah. Well, one of my favorite ideas that you have, let's kick it off with the creating a reality performer category. These are the people we probably talk about the most. Yep. Gabby from The Traitors is probably one of the biggest stars on television right now. So how do you not have her on the Emmys?
So, what's interesting about that? I didn't, that was one of the last ones I came up with. And when I really started thinking, when I thought of, it feeds into another, about having variety non-gendered acting categories, I started thinking about the reality performers, and The Traitors, I'll talk this season in this Emmy world, was made and built on the shoulders of Gabby Windey. So if The Traitors wins competition program, which it won last year, why wouldn't she have a space for, I don't think she should be an EP on the show. So that's why if you have a reality performer category, it allows them to get a piece of recognition. If what they are bringing to the show is helping it get over the finish line, they should have an opportunity to be reflected in that as well. As I said, non-gendered, keep it to 5 or 6, keep it really simple. Not everyone needs to win an Emmy, but I think it's even an opportunity, if you really wanted to get crazy, make it a fan award. Let it be a popular vote among the world.
Don't go crazy. This isn't the
that
biggest
goes
choice.
Too far. But I loved it too. I thought it was such a great look. We all love our reality shows, and I agree with you. We love the host.
I know who Jazz would pick. But.
No, but okay, wait. I'm gonna shock everyone. I did watch all of Beast Games, and the Mr. Beast. That was such a great story. But the winner of that, Jeffrey, who ended up winning 10 million, his story was so great to follow. And yes, you know, Drag Race, you know, the queens, they go out, they campaign, but I love this category, Clayton. I think it's really, it's sweet. And it's their stories that make us, like you say, get it over the finish line. And
this also
let's give them their flowers.
This also wasn't one of the popular ones among publicists. They were like,
well, because they don't really rep these stars, so they could care less.
And, well, that's the thing. They're also not part of a guild. You know, Bethany Frankel has spoken about this in the last year or two. It would really, like, you know, make things a little, you know, some people you don't know how they're going to be on the circuit, and that would also be more funds now to trek them out there.
Jazz's love of Mr. Beast. We'll have to talk about that in the future. We don't have time right now.
Not today. Not
but
today.
She is really all in the tank for Mr. Beast right now, and I don't quite understand it. But you know, more power to you. Okay, revisit the guest acting rule again. This is a big one because the guest acting rule is a disaster, Clayton.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I get it. What the Emmys have done in the last decade especially, but you can look at the last 25 years. Every new rule is usually named after someone because something happened the year before that got everyone mad and they want to change it. So now, you know, being the Claire Foy rule, you know, and even when there was that brief rumor in the ether about Jennifer Coolidge appearing in season 3 of White Lotus, there was like this rumor that was going around, and we were like, well, guest actress in a comedy will be over at that point. But then this came out, and you're not saying that scared them away or even that it was even true, but I think what it does now, it requires way too much information that you need to know, and it's not fair. If you've been nominated, then you can't go into guests, but if you've never been nominated, then you can go into guests. So, like, because you've been snubbed, then you have more shots at it. I don't really like that world. So we'll need to go back to the drawing board on that.
Yeah. Okay. Next one. This one I think is a little more confusing for people. Is allow members to opt in other categories for final voting.
So, like the Film Academy, there are different branches of the TV Academy. Right now, there are only 15 categories that are voted on by everyone for both nominations and for winners. It's all the series categories. My proposal is, like, you know, the Film Academy instituted a rule this year. You have to watch all the nominees. It records that you watch it and the category opens up for you. Allow members who do the work and watch a lot of television to opt into a couple categories. Maybe they want to have a say in the acting categories because they've seen all those contenders, or have an editor get into cinematography if they want, if they feel like they can recognize it. I'm not saying let everyone into every category, but I think we should encourage them to watch more television, and this would be a way to do that, because if you're not nominated in series, there's no incentive to get everyone watching.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Simple enough, but you know, but again, it's the you know, ask, how does the member prove that they've seen everything? And asking a nonprofit to, you know, put some manpower behind that isn't exactly what people are looking to do right now.
Well, the next one you have, I also agree with, because I think, we're journalists, we can't do math. So I've never loved this. But the standardized acting nominee counts across the board. Jazz, do you ever understand, like, submissions and the numbers? And
Absolutely not. Just keep it, like, standardize it. Please make it make sense, because, as you say, we write words, we don't do the math.
We're not here to count.
Yeah. I mean, you make it simple, like, let it be 6 or 7 for every category, no matter what the submissions are. Yeah, it's going to be harder in other races, but also you'll have less of a shot by doing that. If you get like 6 or 7 for everyone, no matter what, then we won't have those categories that has like 5 nominees from the same show out of the 6. There is something to the mindset of how many people you check off from the same show. When you have more choices, you start losing track of how many from the same show you did, or if you've only seen a little bit. You know, I just think this would be a nice, easy way to do it. And then we know, like, how many to expect, and not like, you know, if there's a tie, we have to then figure out why do we have 6? Oh, there must have been a tie in one category. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
6 or 7.
We're here for it.
I mean, my corollary is, you know, I still want 10 nominees for all the series categories.
I do as well. Yeah.
You know, because that way maybe you get more broadcast shows, you get like a better mix.
Yep.
Another interesting one that you have is create 2 non-gendered variety performer categories. And finally, because the variety performers, I mean, now that they're kind of shoved in with the actors, you get those weird mixes where, you know, some of the SNL stars show up and supporting actor, but there's not really enough room for them. And then a lot of people who are on specials and other variety shows just get the complete short shrift. Bring it back.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we had a version of this up until 2008. It was called Outstanding Individual Performance in a Variety or Music Program. SNL actors used to go in there. And then the year that Don Rickles won for a documentary.
Yeah, so are you blaming Don Rickles for all of this?
It's the Don Rickles rule. It's exactly named after him.
No respect.
No, I love the man, but
that wasn't Don Rickles, by the way.
But it was various clips from a bunch of his shows, and it just and because I hate that that SNL competes in scripted variety and the actors are in comedy series. So my thing is like, again, I need things uniform. So either SNL's a comedy series, chuck it over there, or give them but allowing more than SNL, you also get the hosts of award shows to compete there. Which often no one would besmirch that, and hosts of variety specials like stand-up comedy specials.
So you would do 2? You do 1 for series and 1 for specials.
One lead, 1 supporting. So I think
you're creating new controversy now, Clayton.
Well, because there is something. I think, like, you know, especially when you have sketch comedy shows, like Tom Segura sure can go in a lead, but he has like a lot of actors, so like there should be a place for them if they have a standout.
Yeah, but are you asking the host of the Oscars to compete against one of the stars of SNL?
No. The host would have to go lead, and that's the thing. They would have to also take ownership of calling BS, which they never do on lead supporting.
All right,
there you go.
Yeah, but I didn't think about it your way that you just said it. So now I might rethink it. I think 1 for series, 1 for special actually might be a better avenue. Maybe easier to understand. So maybe. you solve that right away.
All right. We're workshopping this. We're workshopping it. Okay. Here's another big one that we talk about a lot, because in this day and age, all series are limited series. Now that every show is 10 episodes or less, except for, by the way, broadcast making a comeback. We got full season coming of Doc, and they're going to do more High Potential. So, and we've got 15 of Pitts. So things are slowly making a comeback. But right now, that every show is 8 episodes or 10 episodes. Every show's a limited series. So why do we still have a limited series category?
Yeah.
And Clayton, you're like, we got to rethink this.
So, I mean, because it's not a genre. So then an argument that a publicist made to me was it's a specialty category. And my argument to that was, so are we... A specialty category for me, as I interpret that's variety special pre-recorded, right? That's variety special live. This is not it's not seen the same way as that, nor is it treated the same way as that, because on a main show, it's one of the top 3 races, has acting categories and so forth. So this is like kind of multiple things you could do. I think you get rid of it altogether, expand drama and comedy to 10 each, which has been our long thing. And then they would go in those races and you do 10 nominees straight up and do it that way. I think that's the cleanest way to do it. If you're not going to do that, then if you're going to keep limited series, make it a default 8, just like drama and comedy. Because in this piece, I mentioned comedy, I'm tracking right now 67 submissions, and it's going to be a guaranteed 8 because they automatically give it 8. But in regular submission rules, it wouldn't even be getting 6 because it doesn't meet the requirement. So why are if limited is where all the good stuff is right now, and a lot of people are enjoying that, then let them go, then give them 8 slots and let people vote as they will. I mean, we have a decrease in that race too, but it's also where a lot of auteurs, filmmakers are getting into that space too, because they don't want to sign up for 5 seasons of television.
Here's my corollary to that. Call it miniseries once again, recombine it with TV movie. And miniseries, it is 2 installments. Maybe 4 hours, but it's 2 installments. So just like miniseries used to be. Otherwise, if you're doing like an 8-episode limited series, no, you're doing a drama.
Yeah.
That's what 1 season of a drama. Maybe it's not coming back, but that's because
I understand what you're fixated on the episode count is
a
really
little bit, but also just the goal, because when you're doing 2 episodes or 4 hours, that really is short. Like, that's almost like a TV movie.
Sure.
When you're doing 8 episodes, no, you're doing a series.
And by the way, when you say limited series, what really delineates that from a docuseries that is a couple of episodes? Like, I mean, obviously it's given its own category, but like a limited series is a limited series. That's why I don't think the title makes sense, nor does it work for this. I mean, if you're asking me, I would like to combine, let it go into drama and comedy, keep TV movie out of it, let them still have their own category. I think they're fundamentally different. And then have them compete and do that. But and then we can expand all the other races accordingly. Yeah. But that's my pitch.
Okay, this one now, Clayton, confused me a bit because I thought they already could submit, but you have allow premium digital content to submit. But isn't that what they're doing with Hot Ones?
Yes. So I say allow. I think maybe a better term would be don't be so strict about who you let in and who you don't. There are a lot of people who have tried to get in this space and they say no and they give up. Hot Ones wasn't initially. Hot Ones had a petition to come to primetime from daytime, and obviously, what is the difference between primetime and daytime anymore? That's a bigger question.
Right.
We're talking about time of the day.
They don't even know, no.
So, one, there are 2 things you could do. You can save the talk series and scripted variety categories, or you could create a brand new category for premium digital content altogether. Like we said, the emerging media category that existed at one point in time. So you could bring that back. I think if people are watching YouTube and Dropout and all these other platforms and TikTok things on their phone, and they're creating actual series out of it, I think you need to put guardrails around it for sure. Then I think it's worth letting them in. Not saying that they will initially, but we're headed in that direction regardless.
Well, that would improve the episodic count, especially of talk shows, by the way. And we've talked about this. Like, if you allowed all podcasts in, then suddenly you would have 200 contenders.
And what's interesting?
Talk show would be like the biggest category.
Oh, it would be huge. By the way, I use a picture of Amelia de Moldenberg, who has Chicken Shop Date, which is super popular. She isn't eligible to submit for primetime because it's considered international production. And that also became another question, like what constitutes American and international anymore? Because like, why is adolescence automatically okay?
Right. No,
it's super British.
Yeah, it's only because Netflix is the distributor, but it's
a worldwide distributor. But so is YouTube. That's why I think it's a very weird. Like, I think we're putting all these guardrails in place.
The whole international question's a big one.
So messy.
Yeah. All right, you got Best Episode of the Year, which is an interesting variation of Best Series or Best New Series. Instead, you have Best Episode.
This is my favorite. This is really my secret number 1, because I thought of your Best New Series idea, but I don't like it as much because I think it just ends up becoming Best Limited Series Part 2.
Right. It just becomes adolescence again.
But also, they're like at the Oscars, Best Picture, in theory, we obviously don't always get this, but we can have narrative features, animated features, international features. We still haven't had a doc, but in theory, we can have all those types of movies competing for Best Picture. At the Emmys, we don't have a category that really is a catch-all for everything. That's why I like the idea of Episode of the Year, because you could, in theory, one episode of the season, submit it for consideration, and then it becomes almost like the precursor Best Director prize or whatever for the series category, because you can reward like real water cooler episodes of television, and people say like that's what directing and writing are for, but a reality show, people don't look at it that way. So I got selfish about it. I was like, I remember Real Housewives of New York. Scary Island is an all-time episode. So what would that look like next to Connor's Wedding from Succession, next to Through the Valley from Last of Us, or the final episode of The Jinx, season 1, like all that would be exciting to compete against one another.
Yeah. Jazz, what was your pick be this year?
I was going to say this is one of my favorite categories of yours, Clayton. And oh my God, I mean, it's so hard because like you said, Through the Valley, like that shot with Bella at the end was so heartbreaking. But also you mentioned the oneer in the studio. Like that is truly a great episode of TV. And I think that honestly, it's either between the oneer or episode 3 of Adolescence. Like we are spoiled this year because there are so many good, great single episodes, but yeah,
or the eulogy episode from Black Mirror, Paul Giamatti. Like that, I would throw that in there for sure.
Well, then you get into like, well, that's also that's a TV movie, right? Or it was Once Upon a Time.
Yeah, Once Upon a Time.
I mean, listen, I will raise you the series finale of Cobra Kai. I'm just saying. Okay. Merge talk series and scripted variety.
We don't even need to go over it again. We know what needs to happen. Guys. And by the way, by merging them, and you add the performer components, because guys, this is where this idea really came from. Because John Oliver is in scripted variety, technically he can compete in lead actor comedy, which makes no sense. So that's why merge them, let them all compete against one another. If that's what we're doing anyway.
All right, and your last one, which may be also one of my favorite ones, because this has been an ongoing issue now, is what is a TV movie? So maybe it's time to rename TV movie. And your idea, it's a pretty good one, outstanding film made for TV or streaming. Now, I don't know if that solves the problem, because the folks who are like, well, I didn't do a TV movie, are still going to say, well, I didn't make this movie for TV or streaming. It's just where it ended up.
We have to, a TV movie is essentially, can we lose Jazz?
Hopefully I'll still upload. Yeah. We'll see.
TV movie is almost like the new F word in the industry. Like if you tell an auteur they made a TV movie, they're going to be offended. So film means something. So by the way, this is by far unanimous across all publicists. This is what they want, because you will allow, like, especially like a Netflix movie, Carry On, that was so popular this year. But French guy making it, you tell him you made a TV movie, he's like, what the hell are you talking about? I didn't make a TV movie. I made a film. I made cinema. Like, you really bring prestige back to it. We're not in the old days of TV movie anymore, where it used to be like the dump spot. No, we're getting killer films that are on television first. So you do that, then I think more people come to the table. We can redefine what it looks like and what an actual lineup looks like. And then we can give them their own acting categories down the line. Because right now I hate limited and TV movie actors going against one another because they don't make any sense.
No, I agree. All right. So some smart choices. Before we go, this week we've got Ike Barinholtz from the studio. Ike is having a moment. So that Golden Globes episode, Sal Saperstein, I think that changed the game. I think that opened up comedy supporting actor.
Second best episode of the season. I think it's criminal that Adam Scott didn't submit for a guest actor, because I think he's like such a big part of the episode, and it's undoubtedly going to be Ike's submission. But spoiler alert, as you're listening to this, my new predictions will be out. I think Ike is going to win. I think Ike's going to pull it off. I think the studio's going to do really well, and Ike is such a force on that show, and he really is a good one-hander to Seth, and the Golden Globes episode is too perfect.
Yeah.
Too perfect.
Yeah, no, that's one of those moments you're watching the episode and you're like, because we've all like known Ike for years, and he's been on all sorts of things, but that was sort of a moment.
Co-created Running Point with Kate Hudson.
He's having a good year. Yeah. We talk about all of that coming up right now on.
Wait! Before we go, can we just call bullshit on one thing in the Golden Globes episode? When because this is nerdy stuff and no one knows, but in the back of the room there were no cameras blocking everyone that was sitting there. It was everyone had great eyesight of the stage.
There still weren't as many tables. They probably just didn't want to pay for all the extras, but how they normally just cram people in that ballroom. It's a fire hazard.
I was like, I want to go to that Globe show.
Not the one where you're sitting at the back blocked by everything.
By a camera. Yeah.
And Rami Youssef is so great as a fake Golden Globes host.
I was like, we should do that one day. Like, let him host something. It would be great. Oh, Zoe Kravitz, man. Also,
so good.
Episode. Yeah, that was a great one. All right, Ike is up next. In the meantime, Clayton, Jazz, we'll see you next time.
Bye. Bye.
After the break, the studio star and Running Point executive producer Ike Barinholtz. From Los Angeles, this is the Variety Awards Circuit Podcast. And we're back. It's the Variety Awards Circuit Podcast. I'm Michael Schneider. This may be the year of Ike Barinholtz. You know him from The Mindy Project and Mad TV, among other things. But this year, he's one of the creators and executive producers, along with Mindy Kaling and his childhood pal Dave Stassen, on Netflix's Running Point, which stars Kate Hudson as the president of a basketball team modeled after Jeanie Buss and the Lakers. You're also seeing him on screen as Sal Saperstein, the number 2 to Seth Rogen's studio boss on Apple TV Plus's The Studio.
Heartland Theater owners are refusing to show this because of the diarrhea explosion.
What? That's literally the funniest part of the trailer.
No, hold on. This is a movie where zombies infect people with their diarrhea. How the f*** else are we supposed to sell this guy?
Okay, well, hold on now. Are we losing the point of the film and the comedy? We made a dark satire about medical disinformation, and I don't want that to get lost.
No, it's true. It's a very deep and complex film, but I want that diarrhea explosion.
On this edition of the Variety Awards Circuit Podcast, we talked to Barinholtz about the studio, Running Point, balancing his love of the Chicago Bulls with his respect for the Lakers, his winning streaks on Jeopardy and Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and more. When we're recording this, the Lakers were still in the playoffs and about to play a deciding game against Minnesota. Well, sadly, we know how that went, but as we began our talk, we were still hopeful.
Big game, I'm worried.
It's kind of... Now, are you, because now you're pals with Jeanie Buss and you've got the in with the Lakers organization. Have you become a big Lakers fan, or?
I'm a Bulls fan first and foremost. Yeah. Growing up in Chicago, you can't be. But I always did have like an affinity towards the Lakers. They were kind of like my West Coast team, and they were never really like a rival to the Bulls, except for the 91 finals, of course, which we beat them handily. But I loved Magic Johnson. Loved Magic Johnson. And then when I moved, I've been out here 25 years, and I don't think I have some friends who like will not be fans of like the Lakers or the Dodgers. And I don't think it's healthy to not be a fan of the team in the city in which you live. Yeah. I think it can make you kind of misanthropic. So and then when I got here, Kobe and Shaq were here, and I love watching them, and my kids are Laker fans.
Yeah.
So that really seals the deal. And just going to a Laker game is just so much fun.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah.
I saw Tim Chalamet last time I was there. Come on. It's awesome. It's beautiful.
That's what it's all about. Little Timmy enjoying a little basketball.
That's right.
You're right. It becomes even more fun when your kids become huge fans.
My daughter cried so hard when they traded AD. She loved AD. She just had, I think she had like a crush on him. Yeah. She just loved him. And then I told her the news, and she was crestfallen. But she's falling in love with Luka.
Yeah, so. I was gonna say, who doesn't love Luka?
Come on, he's amazing.
So no, my son, who is a tremendous Lakers fan, I remember the moment that LeBron signed. And we were on vacation somewhere, and he was just having a foul day, and suddenly that news came out. It turned around the entire trip.
It's big. It's a big deal. It's had a good run. I think they win tonight. Whether or not it's very tough to go up against Minnesota. Drawing a 6 seed is crazy. They're just one of the better teams in the West, so it's tough that they had to go up against them in the first round.
So it's been fun, though, for you to be even more, involved, getting to know these folks, getting to know the team a little bit.
I'm friends with Kurt Rambis now.
What's that been like?
I mean, really, it is amazing. I met Jeanie and Linda Rambis years ago, randomly at a game, and they were so nice. But now working with them and kind of becoming friendly with them, and Jordan Rambis, who's a producer on Running Point, Linda's son. And Kurt's son, it's wild, you get to go I get to bring my kids to the game, and they talk to Jeanie and get to, see the players sometimes. And it's really, really, it's an amazing organization because it's a true family business. Mm-hmm. And when you go there, Jeanie really gave us incredible access. When we were kind of breaking the show and writing the first season, she let us come to the training facility out in El Segundo a couple times and come to the games and watch her. And when you see, I think you tell a lot about a person by the way like their employees react to them and treat them, and everyone she interacts with just loves her. And whether it's the VP of marketing or an usher or a player, everyone just loves her, and it's just good vibes over there.
Yeah. No, and I think as portrayed, your version of her on the show, it's a pretty solid portrayal.
Yeah, I mean, it just like I remember, we wrote the part and we had our wish list, and Kate Hudson was basically, we were like, that's like the perfect person.
Dream, yeah.
It's just that's the ideal. But we're like, I don't know, she's a big movie star. I don't know, she's gonna do it. And the day we talked to her and she was like, I'm excited, I'm in, I want to do this, I love the script, was incredible. But the first day we did like camera tests and like hair and makeup tests and stuff, and she came down and she had on like a skirt and a blouse and like that lanyard, and it was uncanny how much it just captured the essence of Jeanie. I took a picture of it and sent it to Jeanie, and she was like, oh my God. But it's, we tried to take the love that Jeanie has and really imbue that into Isla. And even though, she's salty and oftentimes like haughty and kind of dumb, which Jeannie's not, there's a lot of her in Isla, obviously.
Right. And there's plenty of liberties, obviously, in not having it's not actually about the Lakers, and that's allow you to the trophies are just a little bit off.
Everything's of course, little different. It's just an slightly alternate universe.
Yeah. That co-pilot stadium, that's sort of, it's where Staples Center is, but not quite.
It's like 2 blocks away. It's not on Chick Hearn Drive, but it's on Paul Adamson Drive. It's not the NBA, it's the ABL. That was actually a very fun kind of thing we got to work on the show, is creating this alternate infrastructure, this alternate universe. And one of our writers, Joe Mandy, who's like the biggest basketball freak of all time, he really enjoyed like creating opposing teams, cities and players, like the was it like the Toronto Trappers? You know what I mean? And he would draw like artwork on it. It was a fun thing for him.
It was like what AI would tell you if you like AI just makes up AI, an NBA.
Yes, exactly.
And so it's like not quite there, but sort of.
It's uncanny. It's just close enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's your buddy Dave Stassen. It's Dave Stassen and you.
The great David Stassen.
Yeah. So, I mean.
Together again.
Yeah.
I was going to say together again, but we've never been not together. So it's just more together.
And kind of, again, full circle, I assume you guys, grew up big Bulls fans, big NBA fans.
He's the biggest Bulls fan of anyone I know. I mean, growing up in Chicago, in the city, in the 80s and 90s, it was just basketball USA there. Everyone was obsessed with the Bulls. Everyone was obsessed with I think I watched every single Bulls game from like 1989 to like 1998. And he's even a bigger fan than me. He knows, everything. He'll tell you name any player and he'll tell you like where he went to college. And, we loved Mindy. We loved our time with her. And we for years were trying to figure out how to reunite. How do we get someone to pay us to sit in a room together? And when she brought the idea to us, it was like family comedy, basketball. It just was this amazing mix of things that made us say yes very easily. Yeah.
No, and now there's more to come. So
yes,
are we? Where do we stand in terms of if we're Team J or Team Lev?
Wow, that's a tough question. That's so tough. They're both such catches. I mean, Lev seems like the mildly safer choice.
Yeah, the good dude. He's a doctor.
He's a doctor. He's a great guy. He's there for her. But Jay is, like he's this someone you work with who's a genius at the top of his field and is very enlightened. And it's a very tough decision. Also, both those guys are insanely hot.
Well, I was going to say, I felt like I was leaning towards Lev until Jay took the shirt off, and then suddenly.
That was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like the day we showed up to shoot that, I was just like, remember sitting there eating like a massive breakfast sandwich and just watching them spray an Evian mister on his abs. And I was like, I got to make some changes in my life. I got to figure something out.
That's a real come to Jesus moment. I know.
Yeah, truly. But we really wanted to, have the audience feeling at the end of that season. Where's it going to land? What's going to happen? Is it her and Lev? Is it her and Jay? Is it something new? So we really threw a a lot of meatballs in the air with that finale, and we're right now in the process of kind of figuring out how to present those meatballs to the audience and have them eat them.
You're really hungry right now, aren't you?
Are there any, is there any Italian food around here?
Have we got meatballs?
Or sub or something?
Perhaps. So, of course, this is the season of Ike Barinholtz because once people...
I'm so sorry.
You're forgiven. Once people see episode 8 of the studio, they're going to be screaming Sal Saperstein at you on the streets, everywhere.
I'm ready for it.
You ready for it?
I'm ready for it. It's better than some of the other things they yell at me now, so I'll take Sal Saperstein, that's for sure.
No, that's a fun episode. But in general, I think a lot of what people have been writing about the studio is that, well, Sal in some ways is kind of the most put together of all the characters.
That's terrifying. I feel bad for them.
Well, it's Hollywood, so
it is Hollywood.
No one's in good shape. But Sal, despite his love of cocaine, seems to be the most got his shit together.
Yeah, I think so in a way. I mean, he understands the job. And I think he feels like, he's made it this far and got kids, you know what I mean? Like on some levels, he presents normal. He's definitely not as stressed as Matt or anxious as Quinn or insane as Maya. So I like that. I think he is the most well-adjusted. And I think out of as the actors, as real people, that's true for me as well. Because those people are basket cases. Seth Rogen is a mess.
And you just get to show up and do your thing.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Well, there is something to be said. Sal wanted that top job. He didn't get it, but who wants that top job?
I think that's so true. I think there's a version of the show where he doesn't get it and tries to angle for it and usurp throughout the season.
Right. Plots against
him. But I think he kind of in the moment realizes hey, my buddy who loves me is got the job, and I'm gonna do whatever it takes to stay. I think he's a real survivor. I think he's the kind of guy who he was probably very nervous in 2018 and 2020 that someone was going to tell a story about something he said on a film set, and he was going to have to move out of LA. And so I think he right away makes that decision of just I know my role. I'm a little bit of a hitman, a little bit of a punching bag, but I'm down with it as long as I get to keep my job.
Yeah.
And please just pay me, please.
No, exactly.
Yes.
So, and I'm sure he's well compensated for that.
I think so, but he's probably taken a pay cut. That's the thing. I can see the studio being hey, we have to cut your salary, and him being fuck you, and then being hey, otherwise you have to leave. He's okay.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So what kind of there's been a lot of talk about folks in the industry suffering from some PTSD and watching the studio and what are you hearing from folks and how close to the bone this show takes it?
It's touch and bone. This is a real bone touching show.
It's a boner of a show.
I've had a friend of mine who's was studio head right now is thanks for making my biography. I love it. I love being stressed out at work all day and then watching your show and just feeling more stress. Yeah. But I think it's good that a lot of people relate to it. You know what I mean? I've had friends who are not in the industry at all tell me man, I was so uncomfortable during that episode. I felt for you. Especially in an episode like The Oner, where Sal is desperately trying to get Matt, played by Seth Rogen, out of this location, get him out of this scenario. And that was one thing that I was happy to hear from people is that it's not just people in the business who love it. For the people in the business, it's like candy for us. It's a show about us, for us. It's our lives. We love it. But when I hear from friends of mine who are in Chicago or Buffalo or whatever, and they love the show and they relate to it, because everyone's had a boss who won't listen to them. Everyone's wanted credit for something that they weren't getting credit for. So that was that makes me very happy to hear from non-showbiz friends as well.
Yeah.
But for us, it's listen, if you're in food, you got the bear. If you're in this shit, you got the studio.
Right.
Right.
No, and it's there have been some great shows about the industry through the years. I remember watching Larry Sanders back in the day, and it sort of had that similar feeling of this is a little too close to truth.
See, I watched Larry Sanders from the outside looking in, and remember watching him being I want to be in show business in the worst way. It was so, even though the characters were constantly stressed out and doing terrible things and getting in trouble. I was so drawn in by the world. I've always loved showbiz movies and TV shows. Like my dad loved the movie My Favorite Year. Mm-hmm. And that's like a great showbiz movie. And I remember watching that as a kid and being so drawn to it. But when you get to really dig deep and show those moments, it also is for people who are not in the business. It's aspirational. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I said, like I would watch it and be like, one day I'm going to be in this. I'm going to be one of those writers in that late night comedy room. And so hopefully we get that. Hopefully someone watches the studio and is like, one day I'm going to do cocaine and cry in a boardroom.
Exactly, and be chewed out by Ron Howard. Which by the way, like I do love the fact that the studio has gotten so many people to play asshole versions of themselves.
So funny. Like Ron Howard, like famously like the nicest man in Hollywood, just is like straight up taking off his Imagine hat and weaponizing it and throwing it.
So good.
Olivia Wilde too. I was like, she just blew us away. She came in, and that's a tough part to like, you know, play yourself and playing like a complete psychopath and the crew's turned on you, and like to come in and just give it everything. She just killed it. I thought so funny. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Golden Globe episode, a couple of things really impressed me. First off, I love that they worked so hard on making it seem like an actual Golden Globes that Rami Youssef had some good material. Like he had legit host material. He could host the Golden Globes.
He should host the Golden Globes. Rami should be hosting that 100%. And he was like punching it up and like doing different things. And like, yeah, it was crazy shooting that episode because we shot it at night at the Beverly Hilton where they have the Globes. Mm-hmm. So, and they had it packed with extras. It really felt like an award show. I was so like focused on like my lines and the work that you didn't even really check. Like I knew Rami was coming. I knew Adam Scott was coming, and I knew like Zoe Kravitz was going to be there, but you would just be doing the scene and all of a sudden be like, oh damn, there's Gene Smart on stage. Wow. Yeah. You know what I mean? Oh my God, there's Aaron Sorkin. It was crazy. It really was like a fever dream. Mix, yeah, like at one point I'm running to my mark and I look up and it's Quinta and she's like, and I was like, oh, what's going on? But that episode was just, it was really fun to shoot, and we screened it actually in New York a couple weeks ago, and it got a good response. So I'm hoping people like it.
And then Ted fucking Sarandos.
We got Ted. We got Papa Ted.
Papa Ted.
It's crazy.
He was given a lot of lines too. I was like,
and he did a very good job. I was like, we were watching it at the Village when he was there, and Ted was getting a lot of laughs. Ted has very good timing.
I think he wants an FYC campaign. I think he's going for guests.
He's going to thank himself in his own speech.
I think he should, and that was one of the funny elements of it, because really no one is thanked more these days at all these award shows than Ted fucking Sarandos. So good for him.
He did it, man. He did it.
Good for him.
He's actually doing pilot season next season. He's moved into the Oakwood Apartments.
I think so.
And he's going to do like a traditional like drive around audition and try to get on like a multicam.
Everybody loves Ted.
Everyone loves Ted.
Yeah.
I love that he has to audition for that show.
Exactly. He's been denied by Bella. Like I don't, not believable.
We just want to see some other people. We think you could do it, but we want to see some other folks.
Right. Ike, why do you keep winning these game shows? Like, what is going on with you? Like, how do you keep winning the top prizes?
Have you seen the film Quiz Show?
Yes.
It's nothing like that. No, I love trivia. We grew up in a Jeopardy house, and my parents would play Trivial Pursuit, again, child of the 80s. Yeah. In high school, Dave Sasson and I were on our high school quiz bowl team, which is like, trivia.
Which high school did you go to, by the way?
Went to Latin. We actually won the Illinois State Championship in 1994 for quiz bowl. Now, I would love to say that was all Dave and I, but there was this guy on our team named Ben Horwich who was just like him and my friend Jeff Wolf, like they knew so much. Yeah. They knew like 80% of it. If there was like a sports question, movie, literature, history, maybe Dave and I would be jumping in there. But those guys were incredible. Shout out to those guys right now. But I love trivia, and when they came to me, like I was years. Well, I did Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Like I actually shot it, like was the last thing to shoot in LA before COVID. Mm-hmm. Like I literally remember like crew members like walking away being like, I don't feel safe.
Oh yeah. I remember that. No audience. Right?
No audience. Like it was crazy. So it was my first time doing it, but then I did Celebrity Jeopardy and I won it.
Yeah.
And it was like the greatest. It was so much fun. I couldn't believe it. And then Michael Davies, who's the executive producer, was like, hey, we want to invite you to the Tournament Champions. And I was so excited, but I right away was like, this is a fluke and there's no way that this is going to be anything more than me. I just didn't want to end up negative. I wanted to make it to Final Jeopardy. Like that was my goal.
You figure one of these times they may actually give you the money as opposed to this whole charity bullshit.
Yeah. You know, let me wet my beak a little bit. You know, I've been looking at a new Toyota Highlander, but I went on and then I was playing against Ray Lalonde, who was like an amazing player who I remember watching on Jeopardy, and he was so good. And I'm standing next to him and Melissa and. I got out of that game. I won that game. I made it to the semifinals, and the final question was one of two things, and I guessed, and I should have guessed the other one. And I think about it like twice a week. Like I really do. Like I'll be like on the treadmill and be like, God damn it. Yeah. Why did I say Spartans?
That's not the one you can phone a friend.
No lifelines on that. But so I do need Jeopardy redemption one day. Like I need to go back on and like win that.
And Jeopardy, not Celebrity Jeopardy.
I mean, if they ever do, they've done enough Celebrity Jeopardies now where they could eventually do some kind of Celebrity Jeopardy tournament, I'm guessing. But I would love to go back on the Tournament of Champions, even though I don't know if I would make it out of the quarterfinals again. I think I have to try at least.
Yeah.
And then whatever, a year later, my dad and I went on Millionaire and we won that.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
And by the way, your dad, who has a guest spot on Running Point,
I mean, Bernie Berger.
This new career of his is really taking off. It's pretty incredible.
It's wild. It's wild. Where my brother and I, my brother John is an actor, has been in a ton of things, and we were, we figured it out. We were like, okay, we're gonna try to have our dad, and we wanted our parents to move out here. We have kids. My brother's got kids, and we were like, move out here, and maybe you could be in, get a part in a TV show here and there. And then randomly, a friend of a friend asked us to put him on tape for some weird show about a jury. We put him on tape. He was really good. I remember turning to my brother being like, I gave a good read. And then he, the next day, Dave Bernard, who is the producer of Jury Duty, calls me and goes, we're going to cast your dad on the show. And I was like, this is crazy. So anyways, the show comes out. It's a huge hit. And now he is a working actor in LA. They moved here. He will come over to my house and, while I'm cooking dinner, be like, hey, when you have a minute, if you could help me with these sides. It's for a Mike Schur show. So if you could help me, that would be great.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. And my brother and I are figuring out some things to do with him together as a family, which should be fun. But it's a great story. It's a story that everyone can get behind, unless you're like an enemy of my dad.
Right.
He has a lot of
you hate families.
Unless you hate families and nice stories. In that case, this is not for you.
Yeah. There's enough bad in this country right now.
Yeah, guys, give us this. Give an old man. Let him go to a set and act for a little bit, for God's sakes.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing more from him, but also from you, Ike.
Oh, buddy. Me too. I'm LA, Tecavale. But yeah, no, it's wonderful for him and my brother and me, and we love shooting in LA. Very lucky to be shooting shows in town. We need to be doing that more, and very lucky that we got to do a couple things here.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thanks, Ike.
My pleasure, my friend.
Great seeing you.
Great to see you.
That's Ike Barinholtz, star of Apple TV Plus's The Studio and executive producer of Netflix's Running Point. And that's it for this edition of Variety's Award Circuit Podcast. Michael Schneider is the producer and Aaron Greenewald is the editor. Be sure to subscribe to the Award Circuit Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you download podcasts. Also, head on over to Variety.com and click on the Award Circuit tab to find the latest awards predictions and key races, as well as your daily fix of news, analysis, and reviews. For Jazz Tanke, Emily Longaretta, and Clayton Davis, I'm Michael Schneider, and we'll see you on the circuit.